Hi, welcome back. A number of people have asked, do you have to use a jump ring to connect a permanent bracelet when you're welding? And the answer, of course, is no. There are different ways of doing that, and the best way is to clip open the link and then weld it back together without any sort of seam or making the link smaller or changing it so that you actually don't know where the weld mark is. I'm going to show you how to do that. However, if the chain is very, very fine, then it's going to be hard. But today I'm going to show you how to cut the chain links that are bigger and make sure that the ends are flush so that you get a successful weld, as well as it to be rather inconspicuous. I hope you'll enjoy this. Okay, first I'm going to start using this chain, a bigger chain, to demonstrate the technique, and then later on I'm going to move on to smaller and very popular chains for permanent bracelets without using any jump rings, and to be able to do it so that it's less conspicuous and you can't really tell where the weld mark is. So here is the original chain, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it using a pair of flush cutters. And basically, flush cutter is one that is completely flat on one side, and once it's cut, and this side is beveled, so one side is flat and the other side gets pinched like this. And what I'm going to do is then flip the cutter on this side, and I'm going to cut it so that both sides are flush so that it meets nicely, and then I'm going to weld and you will not be able to see the seam. Okay, so since I don't have a model, I'm going to just do this. The other thing is, with oval chains and long chains, naturally it will go this way. You're not going to see the links go this way because once it's draped, it naturally wants to go lengthwise. So to make it so that we don't see the seam as noticeably, we don't cut it here, we cut it on the side. And I'm going to do this right on the edge like that, and then I'm going to flip the cutter and cut as little as possible, so like this. Okay, and then pretend that it's a big wrist. So we put this through like this, and then I'm going to close this, but the best way to make it tight is to move down, and then as you move back up, you can feel it pushing against one another. And although you can adjust later, it is much better to do it properly now. Look at it this way to make sure that it's flush and touching, not like this or like this. Okay, and then I'm going to clip not too far from where the seam is, and I've got 7.5 watts. This this wire looks like it's 20 gauge, and let's see, here we go. Okay, so just focus. Okay, and the other side you can still see the seam. Let's see if it's strong enough. It is. But so that I feel more secure, I'm just going to do both sides. Had it been a thinner wire, this would not happen. It would be done all the way through and there. And you'll see that there is a bit of fire scale. And so we know it's this link. But you see, now It's hard to find, except that I know it's here because it's slightly darker. If I get a eraser that is pointier, I'll go right into it. There you go. Giant. Pretend it's a giant wrist. So now I'm going to do this chain, like this bracelet that I've got. And I'm going to do the same thing. I like doing it on the side, not here, so that it's less noticeable. Okay. Use a flush cutter on one side. Okay, so it's like this. Try to remove as little of it as possible. And when you're cutting it, it opens up a little bit. So don't worry about it. So I'm going to slip this in. Make sure that it is draped. If you're doing it around the wrist, draped, straightened, and then put this through like this. I push it in, help it a little bit first, and then I pivot open and pivot back, making sure that it is touching. Okay, so I did cut out a little bit more than I would like, and you'll see that it's slightly squeezed. Don't worry too much about it. You won't notice it as much, and then we can also squeeze out the other side down and jam it open a little bit if so happens that your link is quite warped. So clip it on, and let me see if you can see, make sure that you can see. There we go. And it is done. I'm going to always check, and it's good. And this one isn't as thick as the other one, so I don't even need to do the other side. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pinch it a little bit so that it's flat. And this is a good time to test out how strong it is. That is how wonderful welded chains are. And even though this is fine and I've cut it without using a jump ring, it's very, very strong. I don't even know where the link is that I've welded. Anyway, that's okay. It goes to show you I'm pretty good. Thank you very much for watching. I'm a wholesaler of chains and components for permanent jewelry. I'm going to leave a note below where you can have access to the wholesale site, as well as some information on the Orion micro welder.